Hey everyone, I wanted to make a video around kind of an overview of domestic abuse against men as it currently is in the UK, talking about some statistics, but also just in general kind of, as an abused man, the stigma around it and how everything comes across to abused men looking for support if there is any. So please excuse me, I do have some stats written down here to just refer back to, but official statistics in the UK say that just under 1 million men between the age of 16 and 74 will be abused every year. Now, that's obviously the numbers that are known of. And as we know, guys are more reluctant to come forward because of stigma and other reasons. So let's put that into perspective. Let's take Wembley Stadium. Now, you're watching a match where, England's playing a big match. Wembley is absolutely full. Look around and see how many people are there. Now times that by like 11 or 12 times that. That is the amount of men getting abused every year. And before I get people jumping in the comments saying, oh, but will men get abused too? Yes, they do. Domestic abuse is terrible. No matter who it targets, it's absolutely terrible. But what I'm trying to raise awareness of is the fact that it is terrible. It also affects men. It affects a large amount of men. And the support in place and the stigma around it is just crippling for men. So all abuse is terrible. Let's just leave it at that and then move on with what we're trying to discuss here. So when it comes to reporting domestic abuse in the UK, 29% of men who are domestically abused will report it, whereas 49% of women will report it. Now, there's obviously a lot of reasons for that. Again, it's the stigma, it's where do they report it to, it's who can they trust, etc. So if you look at that, support organisations for men, within the UK, there are around 38 support organisations that are specifically for abused men. Whereas if you look at women's support organisations, there are over 250 organisations. It's already massive disparity there in the numbers of organisations available to men to even approach. Then what you have is you have organisations that go online and all their social media and all their advertising and they say, oh, we're a haven for everyone. Anyone who's abused, man or woman, can come to us. But then they'll pop up adverts and their advertising all says things like, is your friend being abused? Make sure she is okay. So any guy looking at that is going to think, well, that's for women. It's not for me because they're talking about she. All they have to do literally is change that to they, and it's inclusive. Men can feel like, okay, it's maybe them. Let me go and take a look. And maybe when they dive deeper, go into the website, have a look, they see, okay, I can also maybe contact these people. But currently it's just unless it's an organization dedicated to men, it's not really positioned for men at all. So something else I wanted to highlight was 60% of men who did call into helplines around domestic abuse said that it was the first time they ever discussed anything with anyone. And 64% of men that called into helpline said they would not have done so if they didn't know that the helpline was anonymous. So, when you take men in general and the way society has positioned it, it's, the stigma around it's been positioned that you must be ashamed of it. You must be humiliated that you've been abused. And obviously, there's absolutely nothing to be ashamed of, humiliated about. Abuse is abuse. It's not about size. It's not about gender. It's about what someone is doing to you, and they know exactly what they're doing when they do it to you. So, the UK as a whole at the moment just seems to be very support for women domestic abuse focused, which is great that there's a lot of support there, and I hope that there continues to be more and more. But what I really hope is that the male side of it comes up as well, and there's more support groups for men, more awareness that this is happening to so many men around the country, more laws that put in place that it's equal. I personally have been to court for my hearings against my abuser for multiple things, and I've been treated like the abuser, even though I've come forward with evidence, pictures, screenshots, everything going. There's the evidence. They still look at me and go, but you're a man, you must be the abuser. I was treated abominably in a lot of court hearings because of just the stigma, where judges just decided, well, look at you, big man, you must be the problem. So stigma needs to break down. The law needs to change. The way family court works is, that's another topic all on its own. It's very one-sided. But people need to really understand what is going on, because if you say to someone domestic abuse, they just think a woman getting beaten by a man. If you type domestic abuse into Google Images or something like that, what you're going to get is you're going to get a load of images of a woman being attacked by a man. So it's just not something that is thought of. It's not a concept that people relate to easily. And that's something that we as people need to change, because everyone who gets abused, everyone who's a victim of anything, deserves the right to have the support, to be heard, to not feel ashamed to come forward, and to not feel that they're just not going to be believed if they come forward. So look, I'm doing what I can. I've written a couple of books on the subject. I am writing more. I'm campaigning where possible. There are really good organisations out there like Mankind Initiative, Abuse Men in Scotland, Abuse Men UK, False Accusations Network. You know, there's good organisations and good people out there trying to spread the word. But what it needs is for people to take those, share their things on social media, talk about it, learn about it, and really make a difference in raising that awareness. So thank you for listening. That's my kind of thoughts on the subject. Yeah, and let's start the conversation going so that more men can get the support they need. Thank you.